Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak Wadash, the ones, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings to you sincere Akim out there pushing the truth across the four corners of earth, risking your life to do so. Very important to remain circumspect during these times. We already know beginning of the year, end of the year, they like to run a lot of plays, and you have a lot of things being set up in the background. One thing I keep seeing, of course, Elon Musk and all these different billionaires, but a point I keep seeing the media harp on, like it says up here, billionaire rivals Bezos and Musk are said to have dined with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. All right, and it wasn't just those two. It was a bunch of different tech, CEOs. Basically, we see Esau getting ready to line up his plays for the next couple of years, or however long he has. He might not have that long. Lord willing, they don't have that long. But they're lining everything up so that they can finally fulfill their new world order. All right, they can finally fill their belly, proverbially, so to speak. All right, and we have to be wise, man. Now's not the time to fall to the bottle or whatever, inebriation that you choose. Now's not the time to have your head up a bitch's ass, pillow talking and letting her, string you along. It's very important to continue on in the things that we learn, like the scriptures talk about. Right? And you don't learn that from the scriptures. The scriptures talk about temperance, mastery. This is a journey. Even after you become a parrot, you learn scriptures, and I know this scripture, that scripture. You're still on a journey of self-mastery, right? And constantly improving. Like the scriptures say, whatever you do with all your might. And we know that wisdom is it's a lot of wisdom. I'll put it like that. It's a lot. All right. So it's always more to learn and to understand. All right, but back to the main point, because when you sit down to eat with someone, which is basically what they did, you according to the ancient world custom, you would talk business, you would talk, over different matters, basically, especially with the king, his mind was open. You finally had an audience with the king, right? And that's what this is. You think David with, I believe it was Uriah. I don't know if he necessarily was eating, but Uriah had an audience with David, and David used that to play him. You think of David with Saul. David was able to eat with Saul and Jonathan, and be in the audience of a king. And it's very important for all of you out there listening, if you're a believer, when we sit down, which we're not actually going to get to physically sit down with these people, but we proverbially sit down and listen to their proposal, and a lot of our people are going to choose to follow them because how they live life, chained to buying and selling and the spirit of Babylon, and I have to have it. They're just insatiable. They don't know how to resist. All right, the king is gonna make his play. There's a lot of, I think it's Vikings I was thinking of too. Basically they all sit down and they eat, and that's one of my favorite episodes. The one where they try to take Ragnar out of position, right? And the whole time he's watching them. Yeah, let's keep it in the scriptures because that's all fantasy anyway. But it's just, it just shows an interesting dynamic. You think of Haman and I want to say Ahasuerus, which I believe was Artaxerxes. It was either Xerxes or Artaxerxes. But anyway, Proverbs 23:1, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. All right, just like Daniel and his and then the three holy children, going before Nebuchadnezzar. Right? They said, look, we don't want the king's meat. We don't want to be all the wine. We want posts. Basically, they refused all of the dainties. They refused all the luxurious, the lifestyle. Basically, he was offering them. That was what that represented. All right, serving his gods, and that's how he gets you. That's how he would have got them. Here, give him the best. All right, remember, we're in a whole nother spirit than these people. These people, they can't resist, man. They gotta buy. They gotta continue in the system. For them, this is life. They have to attach to it and then try to, create their own way of understanding. Like the scriptures say, under every high hill, under every green tree, create their own philosophy. I must do it my will, and do what thou willest. That's the spirit of the people here. We're not in that spirit. All right. This world teach you to be insatiable, scarf down everything. The scriptures teach you etiquette, and I'm gonna get a couple of scriptures on that. Which you have real life etiquette, but then you have, also that, like I said, the proverbial etiquette of understanding what's going on. Right, during C-19, 2020. They were offering people everything, man. Look, we're gonna give you donuts, we're gonna give you a free hamburger, fries, we're gonna give you this, we're gonna give you that. If you just take this, just take it. We're gonna give you a free this, free. They was you had congressmen and senators literally offering people fucking food to take that bullshit. And I mean, the shit was crazy. And everybody just seems to forgot about that. Well, that was the beta test for the real game that's about to come out. All right, verse 3: Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Esau will get you with that. Look at all this. You can have all this. What's that? 300. We always quote the hunchback guy. I forget his name. And Xerxes brought out, he had tables of food, wine. He had bitches and some. They was decent bitches. But the dude was ugly and he had no confidence. So he had never been with a woman. So that was like, oh my God. It was all, them hoes they was definitely used. They wasn't even young. All right, then in the back, I always remember in that scene, in the back, I always wondered that shit. It's a damn Baphomet. It's a damn demon. I'm like, what the fuck? That shit always stuck out to me. There was never explained. It was just one scene. All right, well, we have to be in the spirit to resist, no matter what they say, what they promise you, what you think you're going to get, which, whoever going to sell out, they're going to sell out anyway, because you're not of the elect and you're weak. All right, like the scripture say, your might is small. You have no fortitude. That's another principle of wisdom, fortitude. Being able to hold your nuts. All right, it says, labor not to be rich, cease from thine own wisdom. Will thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Yeah, you think you're gonna get rich, you're gonna be good, you're gonna do the Judas move, and you ain't gonna get shit. They could just turn you're gonna get that C hip in you. They could just turn that bitch off at any moment. Look at this dumb dude. You're gonna be in the history with the rest of the sellouts. being shamed. Right, it says, eat thou. It's another scriptures that say even Esau, as rich as they are, powerful as they are, it said he going to vomit up riches. Blah. All of the shit he promised you, he's going to vomit up eventually. You think you going to keep it and run off into the sunset? It says, eat thou not the bread of him that have an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meats. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. It's temptation. All right, and they do that to Jake. They get, Jake trusts in Babylon, and then they get to that, because they always talk, oh, this gatekeepers. Well, if you know that, then they shouldn't be so effective. All right, but Jake has to run to Diddy. They got to run to Jay-Z. They got to run all these gatekeepers who have been willing to play the game with Esau, and then they put them, well, everybody else who comes behind you, they got to do the same thing. And you got to make them do it. You know? It's like it says, his heart is not with thee. You enjoying something, and it's not what you think it is. That's why you see a lot of the guys who get the deals, and they'll get with the little industry hoe. You know, like, why you get with her, man? It's all kind of bad bitches out here. He get with the industry hoe that everybody been with. Well, that's part of the game. Right? I'm not going to say the hoes' names, but you know what I'm talking about. It says, the morsel which thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up and lose thy sweet words. There you go. So you're gonna eventually vomit it up just like Esau anyway. All right, temperance. That's why it's important, man, to fast, to pray. You know, even the scriptures say, care of meats in an actual literal sense. You can't just eat everything. You can't just be insatiable and you drinking up whole bottles of liquor. You know, nah, man, that's not the spirit you want to be in. All right? Hey, scriptures say wine in moderation. Moderation. You know, because a lot of times you never had shit, and then you finally get some shit, and then you just overdo it. How many times you gonna do that? All right, moderation. This is Sirach 31:12. It says, if thou sit at a bountiful table. Yeah, etiquette and manners are in the scriptures. You know, a lot of people skip over that, and that's weak, man. No, these are principles of royalty. Right? Even these Edomites who have a certain level of wisdom, when they sit down and do deals, they don't just sign any bullshit. Like Jake is in a slave mindset. They come, I need a job. They come in there and here, sign right here. They don't read none of the paperwork or nothing. None of the rules. Like, they try to do me like that. Just sign here. I'm sitting there reading. They trying to rush me through it. I said, look, I don't sign anything unless I read it. Now, Esau, they come with a whole different mentality. You draw up a contract, especially Amalek, boy. No, we're gonna redo the contract, and then we want this. Man, them people will give you some fucked up ass contracts. And they done it to Jake 1,000 times, and Jake still ain't figured it out. All right, the Constitution is a fucked up ass contract. All these different rules and regulations that Esau done created in imaginary parameters, which we follow the laws of the land, but I'm just saying, in comparison to the scriptures, Esau's shit is a fucked up contract. All right, like they said, let strength of law. All right, but anyway, Sirach 31:12. If thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it. Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more wicked than an eye? Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. You don't want to be covetous. What do you got, man? I gotta have that. I need that too. Some shit you don't even need to look at. All right, the guy walking with his wife, just keep walking, man. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures say, gaze not upon another man. Don't try to stare at the man and his wife. Keep it moving. All right, remember, the flesh is wicked, man. The flesh will draw you in to do some bullshit. It says, stretch not thine hand whithersoever it looketh, and thrust it not with him into the dish. And when you read this, it just makes me think of a story. Makes me think of Yahweh Shai. Matter of fact, not a story, the story. Excuse me. All right, hey, like it said, stretch not thy hand. You can't always have everything you want. Some things you gotta look at. That's a woman on the phone. She just clicking. All these damn websites are set up. That's why you go in the clothing store. Damn, the 75% of the store is women's shit. Because women say, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. Damn, you got 50 purses and 50 shoes. Like, the fuck? This is Sirach 13:21. It says, when Yahweh Shai had thus said, he was troubled in his spirit and testified and said, verily, verily, I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. Then the disciples looked one on another, doubting of whom he spake. Now there was leaning on Yahweh Shai's bosom one of his disciples whom Yahweh Shai loved, which was John. Simon Peter therefore beckoned to him that he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. He then lying on Yahweh Shai's breast said unto him, Lord, who is it? Yahweh Shai answered, he it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Yahweh Shai unto him, that thou doest do quickly. Now no man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. For some of them thought, because Judas had the bag, that Yahweh Shai had said unto him, buy those things that we have need of against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. He then, having received the sop, went immediately out, and it was night. And like Yahweh Shai told Judas before, when was that John? I think it was John 12. Yeah, yes, it was. Yep. When a woman had the ointment for him, at John 12. And 4, it says, then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the bag and bare what was put therein. So he didn't care about the oil. He didn't care about none of that. He cared about that bag, that money. Then said Yahweh Shai, leave her alone. Against the day of my burying hath she kept this. For the poor always ye have with you, but me ye have not always. So this was saved unto him. And Yahweh Shai spoke to Judas through the Spirit, basically. Like, look, I know I'm about to go. Don't even worry about it. And Judas doing that cursed his relatives too. Who are still there to this day. It's another scripture that talks about that. Let his bishopric be taken. That's a curse upon all his relatives for doing that shit. And his name inherited shame forever. Just for that bag, just for the fucking silver. But a nigger's gonna be a nigger, so a nigger's gonna be a nigger. All right, this is verse back to Sirach 31:15. Judge of thy neighbor by thyself, and be discreet at every point. Eat as it becometh a man those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated. All right, literal. Now you can also figurative too, more on temperance. Leave off first for manner's sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend. Right? So don't be at the feast, because hey, this is a feast of sorts, you know. But at a literal feast, you know, you don't want to be insatiable. You don't want to be the guy just scar out, you know, you turn it to a buffet. You know, the elders got one, you know, just getting their plate. You on your third plate. Matter of fact, make me 2 to-go plates too. Like, come on, man. Being a nigga. All right, look, we know the black woman raised you on ramen noodles and bullshit, and then, you know, brothers get together and, you know, they get wine in their system and, you know, just get a little lax. But this got to be in your spirit. This stuff has to be in your spirit. All right, that's why the Lord puts us through the suffering He puts us through, man. So you remember, it's certain situations I remember the Lord put me in, and I called on Him and delivered me out. But I still remember those situations. I remember, like, damn, I I was dead to rights. There was no way out of that, except the Lord. All right, and that shit keeps me on eggshells, man. You want to stay on eggshells with your Habashim Abashai to a sense. Right, it says, when thou sittest among many, reach not thy hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him, but the pain of watching and choler and pangs of the belly are with the unsatiable man. Yeah, in a literal sense, you you can't sleep, you get a bellyache. You didn't need to eat all that, man. You didn't need to drink all that. Now you got to clean up after yourself. If thou hast been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. My son, hear me and despise me not. And you in the bed just swollen, belly swollen. Laying there. You know, tripping. My son, hear me and despise me not, and at the last thou shalt find, as I told thee, in all thy works be quick, so there shall no sickness come unto thee. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. Right? So you always want to, if you're hosting something, you always want to, you know, have a good amount. It says liberal. But against him that is a niggard of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies for his niggardness shall not be doubted of. All right, you know, Jake could do that, man. Jake could we'll put half of the stuff up. Damn, brother, guess they ain't even had, you know, the guests ain't had nothing yet. You know, just put the cheap stuff out. We're going to say the good stuff for us later. Excuse me. It says, show not thy valiantness in wine, for wine have destroyed many. The furnace proveth the edge by dipping, so doth wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. You know, and then it goes on to wine. It talks about being, you know, having wine in your system and how to control yourself. All good. The whole chapter's good. But I'm just jumping straight to the point. I don't want to make this lesson too long. You know, just things to be mindful of. You know, in Sirach 32, it talks about hosting as well. It gives a little more. I'm not going to read it, but just a reference. This is Sirach 41 and 19. And it talks about, you know, being ashamed of certain things, getting right to the point. Verse 19, it says, and to lean with thine elbow upon the meat. Now, you don't want to be the guy with your elbow on the table. You know, that's rude. You know, and that's a telltale sign that somebody doesn't have any sense. Like people say, you know, you don't have any home training. You know, That's part of us gaining experience, exercising our senses. Act like you've been somewhere. Act like you know how to, go in front of royalty, because that's who you're ultimately in front of. All right? Remain considerate. Right? And in this spiritual feast of us, breaking bread and giving out this spiritual food, so to speak. We don't want to have our elbow on the proverbial table either, man. We don't want to be seen as a niggard. Right, where you just, think that everything is about you, or, man, you always got the guy, man, why is it taking so long? Which that scriptures don't say that, but I'm just saying for an example, you don't want to have your elbows on the table. Right, you want to remain considerate at all times. So, Lord willing, this is edifying. Just remember, there's a way that we do things, man. The scriptures talk about doing things decently and in order. Right, you do things, matter of fact, let's end with that. Get that word for decently. All things be done. 1 Corinthians 14:40, let all things be done decently in order. Right, go for that word for decently. In a seemly manner, decorously, honestly. Right, having decorum, of elegant figure, graceful, honorable, influential, wealthy, respectable. Remember, the elect, that's the first fruits of all. That's the standard of everything. So, we move different, man. You got to put that into your spirit. Shalom to the elect.